Most people like to believe they make choices freely and rationally. They compare options, they weigh costs and benefits, they choose what is best. But in real life, people are busy, distracted, emotional, tired, influenced by habits, and affected by how choices are presented. A form can change behavior. A default option can change behavior. The order of a menu can change behavior. A deadline, reminder, label, warning, or small friction can change behavior. Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein's Nudge is about this hidden world of choice design. The book argues that people are constantly influenced by the environment in which choices are made. There is no such thing as a completely neutral choice setting. Someone decides what the default is. Someone decides what information appears first. Someone decides whether signing up is easy or difficult. Someone decides whether the healthy food is at eye level or hidden in the corner. Thaler and Sunstein call this choice architecture. Their central idea is that because choices are always designed in some way, they should be designed thoughtfully. A nudge is a small change in the choice environment that helps people make better decisions without forcing them. It preserves freedom while making good choices easier. The book's central lesson is that better design can improve lives. A nudge does not command. It does not ban. It does not punish heavily. It gently guides. Blink 1. People are not perfectly rational decision-makers. Nudge begins from the same behavioral insight that shaped much of Thaler's work. Real people are not perfect economic calculators. Traditional economics often imagines people as rational agents who know what they want, process information correctly, and make consistent choices. Thaler and Sunstein call these imaginary people econs. Econs do not forget to save for retirement. They do not eat too much because the dessert is placed nearby. They do not ignore important forms because the paperwork is confusing. They do not choose a bad plan because the options are overwhelming. Humans do. Humans use shortcuts. They follow defaults. They procrastinate. They are influenced by framing. They avoid losses. They pay attention to what is easy and visible. They may care about the future, but still choose comfort in the present. This does not mean people are stupid. It means people are human. They have limited time, limited attention, limited self-control, and limited information. Because of this, the design of choices matters. If a retirement plan requires people to fill out complicated forms, many will delay. If the same plan automatically enrolls them while allowing them to opt out, many will save. The financial decision may be similar, but the behavior changes because the choice environment changes. The book's first lesson is that policy and design should start with real human behavior, not idealized theory. If people regularly make predictable mistakes, then ignoring those mistakes does not make society freer or smarter. It simply leaves people exposed to bad systems, confusing choices, and avoidable harm. Good choice architecture begins by accepting human nature as it is. Blink 2. Choice architecture is everywhere. Choice architecture is the environment in which people make decisions. It includes the order of options, the default setting, the wording of a question, the layout of a website, the structure of a form, the amount of friction involved, and the information shown at the moment of choice. The important point is that choice architecture cannot be avoided. Even when someone claims they are not influencing people, they still are. A cafeteria must place food somewhere. A website must arrange buttons somehow. A pension plan must decide whether enrollment is automatic or voluntary. A government form must decide which box is pre-selected or whether any box is pre-selected at all. A school must decide how lunch options are displayed. A hospital must decide how medical choices are explained. There is no neutral design because every design makes some choices easier, harder, more visible, more confusing, more attractive, or more likely. Thaler and Sunstein argue that once we understand this, the question changes. The question is not whether people should be influenced. They already are. The better question is whether the influence is thoughtful, transparent, and beneficial. For example, putting healthier food at eye level does not remove anyone's freedom to eat dessert. It simply makes the healthier option easier to notice. Making organ donation the default with a clear opt-out does not force people to donate. It changes the starting point. Automatically enrolling workers in retirement savings does not trap them. It helps overcome procrastination. Choice architecture matters most when choices are difficult, rare, confusing, delayed in consequences, or emotionally charged. In these situations, people are more likely to make errors. A good design helps them navigate complexity without taking away their freedom. Blink 3. A nudge guides behavior without forcing it. A nudge is a gentle push. It changes behavior in a predictable way while preserving choice. This distinction is essential. A tax, ban, mandate, or penalty can change behavior, but those are not pure nudges. A nudge works by changing the choice environment rather than removing options. For example, placing fruit before desserts in a cafeteria is a nudge. Banning desserts is not. Automatically enrolling employees in a savings plan is a nudge. Forcing everyone to save a fixed amount with no exit option is not. Sending a reminder before a doctor's appointment is a nudge. Punishing someone heavily for forgetting is not. The power of nudges comes from understanding human tendencies. People often stick with defaults, they respond to reminders, they follow social norms, they choose what is easy, they avoid complicated forms, they delay decisions that require effort. They are influenced by how information is framed. A nudge uses these tendencies to help people make better choices. The phrase better choices is important and also controversial. Thaler and Sunstein generally mean choices people themselves would likely prefer if they had full information, unlimited attention, and better self-control. A person wants to save for retirement, but delays enrollment. A person wants to eat healthier, but is tempted by easy junk food. A person wants to take medicine correctly, but forgets. A nudge helps close the gap between long-term intention and actual behavior. The goal is not to make people obedient. The goal is to make good choices easier and bad choices less automatic. A well-designed nudge respects freedom because people can still choose differently. It simply recognizes that the path of least resistance matters. Blink 4. Libertarian paternalism tries to combine freedom and guidance. One of the most famous ideas in the book is libertarian paternalism. At first, the phrase sounds contradictory. Libertarian suggests freedom of choice. Paternalism suggests guiding people for their own good. Thaler and Sunstein argue that the two ideas can be combined. Their version of paternalism does not remove freedom. It does not force people into one official choice. It simply designs choices in ways that help people avoid predictable mistakes. The libertarian part is that people remain free to opt out. The paternalistic part is that the choice architect tries to steer people toward outcomes that improve their welfare. This idea is meant to offer a middle path. On one side is heavy government control, where officials ban choices, require behavior, or impose strong penalties. On the other side is the belief that institutions should never guide people at all. Thaler and Sunstein reject both extremes. They argue that since choice architecture always exists, refusing to design it responsibly is not neutrality, it is neglect. For example, if a company offers a retirement plan, it must choose a default. The default might be non-enrollment, which means many workers will fail to save because of inertia. Or the default might be automatic enrollment, which means many workers will save unless they opt out. Both are designs. Both influence behavior. The authors argue that the better default is the one that helps most people achieve what they already want. Libertarian paternalism is attractive because it tries to improve outcomes without treating people as powerless. But it also requires humility. Those designing choices must be careful not to confuse their own preferences with everyone else's good. Freedom matters because people differ. A nudge should guide, not dominate. Blink 5. Defaults are among the most powerful nudges. Defaults are one of the strongest tools in choice architecture. A default is what happens if a person does nothing. This matters because doing nothing is common. People procrastinate. They are unsure. They are busy. They forget. They avoid difficult decisions. They accept the pre-selected option because changing it takes effort. For an econ, defaults should not matter much. If the best choice is obvious, the econ will choose it. For humans, defaults matter enormously. Thaler and Sunstein show that defaults can shape retirement savings, insurance choices, software settings, privacy options, organ donation, and many other decisions. A good default can help people. Automatic enrollment in retirement savings is a famous example. Many workers intend to save but delay signing up. When enrollment becomes automatic, participation often rises because saving becomes the path of least resistance. People can still opt out, but many do not, because the default now supports their long-term interest. Defaults are powerful because they carry an implied recommendation. People may think this option must be normal. They also reduce effort. Choosing actively requires attention and confidence. Accepting the default feels easier. But defaults can be dangerous if chosen badly. A default that benefits a company at the expense of customers can exploit inertia. A confusing subscription renewal can trap people. A privacy default can expose personal data. A bad default is not harmless simply because people can technically change it. The author's lesson is that defaults should be chosen with care. They should generally reflect what most informed people would choose for themselves. Because doing nothing is still a choice, the design of doing nothing matters deeply. Blink 6. Good feedback helps people learn from decisions. People make better choices when they receive clear feedback. Feedback tells us whether our actions are working. If you touch a hot stove, pain gives immediate feedback. If you spend too much money, the feedback may come later. If you choose a bad retirement plan, the consequences may not appear for decades. If you eat poorly, the damage may be slow and unclear. If you use too much electricity, you may not understand the cost until the bill arrives. Thaler and Sunstein argue that many poor choices happen because feedback is delayed, weak, confusing, or invisible. A good choice environment improves feedback. A car that beeps when the seatbelt is not fastened gives immediate feedback. A bank app that shows spending categories helps people see where money goes. A smart energy meter can show how much electricity is being used. A warning label can connect present behavior to future risk. A clear medical instruction can help a patient understand what to do and why. Feedback works best when it is timely, specific, and understandable. If feedback arrives too late, people cannot connect action to consequence. If it is too technical, they may ignore it. If it is too vague, it does not guide behavior. This is especially important in complex areas like finance, healthcare, and education. People often face decisions where the costs and benefits are hard to see. Good feedback helps them build better judgment. It also reduces dependence on experts. When people can see the results of their actions, they can adjust. The deeper lesson is that freedom is more meaningful when people can learn. Choice without feedback can become confusion. Good feedback turns experience into information. Blink 7. People need help with choices that are complex, rare, and delayed. Not all choices require nudges. People usually do not need much help choosing their favorite ice cream flavor. The decision is simple, familiar, and gives immediate feedback. If they dislike the flavor, they learn quickly. But many important choices are not like that. Choosing a mortgage is complex. Choosing a health insurance plan is complex. Choosing retirement investments is complex. Choosing medical treatment can be complex and emotional. Choosing how much to save for the future involves delayed consequences. These choices are difficult because people do not make them often. They may not understand the options. They may not know the risks. They may be overwhelmed by technical language. They may not receive feedback until much later. Thaler and Sunstein argue that these are exactly the areas where good choice architecture matters most. The goal is not to eliminate choice. The goal is to make choice usable. For example, a retirement plan with too many confusing investment options may cause people to delay or make random choices. A better design might offer a simple default fund, clear risk categories, and easy adjustment. A health plan comparison tool might translate complicated terms into expected annual costs under different scenarios. A mortgage form might highlight long-term payment risks instead of hiding them in fine print. When choices are complex, the design should reduce confusion. When choices are rare, the design should provide guidance. When consequences are delayed, the design should make future costs visible in the present. The authors understand that more choice is not always better. Choice is valuable when people can use it well. If the choice environment overwhelms them, freedom becomes exhausting. Good nudges help people handle complexity without removing personal control. Blink 8. Nudges can improve saving, health, and public policy. The book gives many examples of how nudges can improve real-world outcomes. Retirement saving is one of the clearest. Many people want financial security but fail to save enough because of procrastination, inertia, and present bias. Automatic enrollment helps. Automatic contribution increases can help even more. A worker can agree today to save more later, especially when future raises arrive. This avoids the pain of cutting current spending immediately. Health is another major area. People may want to eat better, take medicine correctly, attend appointments, or stop harmful habits. Small nudges can help. Reminders reduce missed appointments. Simpler instructions improve medication use. Healthier food placement can improve diet choices. Social norms can encourage better behavior when people learn what others are doing. Environmental policy can also use nudges. Energy bills that compare a household's usage with similar neighbors can encourage conservation. Clear labels can make long-term energy costs visible. Default green options can increase participation while preserving choice. In each case, nudges work because they fit human psychology. They do not assume people will read every document, calculate every long-term consequence, and act with perfect self-control. They recognize that small barriers can stop good behavior and small supports can encourage it. This is why nudges are attractive to governments and organizations. They can sometimes improve outcomes without large spending, heavy regulation, or strict mandates. But they are not magic. A nudge cannot solve every social problem. Deep poverty, poor healthcare access, weak education, corruption, or structural inequality may require more than better choice design. Still, nudges can make many systems work better. They are often small changes with meaningful effects. Blink 9. Nudging raises ethical questions about manipulation and power. Nudge is persuasive, but its ideas raise serious ethical questions. If choice architecture shapes behavior, then whoever designs the choices has power. That power can be used responsibly, but it can also be abused. A government may nudge people toward better health or savings. A company may nudge customers toward subscriptions, extra fees, addictive products, or privacy loss. A website may make it easy to sign up and difficult to cancel. A platform may design notifications to keep users engaged longer than they intended. These are also forms of choice architecture. They may technically preserve freedom, but they can still manipulate. This is why transparency matters. A good nudge should be easy to understand and easy to resist. It should not rely on trickery. It should not hide important information. It should not exploit people's weaknesses, mainly for the benefit of the choice architect. The authors defend nudging because choice architecture is unavoidable, but that argument also makes ethics more important. If influence is everywhere, we need standards for good influence. A responsible nudge should help people achieve goals they would likely endorse upon reflection. It should preserve real exit options. It should be open to public criticism. It should be tested by outcomes, not intentions. It should avoid treating people as tools. The ethical concern is especially strong when there is an imbalance of power. Governments, employers, banks, insurers, and technology companies often know more than individuals and can design environments that steer behavior invisibly. The lesson is not to reject all nudges. The lesson is to ask, who is nudging? For whose benefit? With what transparency? And can people easily choose otherwise? Blink 10. Better choice design can make freedom more useful. The final message of nudge is that freedom alone is not always enough. People may technically be free to choose well, but the environment may make good choices difficult. A confusing form can block access. A bad default can prevent saving. A hidden fee can distort decisions. A complex menu can overwhelm people. A delayed consequence can make future harm feel unreal. Thaler and Sunstein argue that better design can make freedom more useful. This is an important distinction. They do not want to replace choice with control. They want to improve the conditions under which choices are made. A good choice environment respects human imperfection. It makes important information visible. It sets helpful defaults. It gives clear feedback. It reduces unnecessary complexity. It reminds people at the right time. It allows easy correction. It keeps options open. This approach is practical because it works with real behavior. Instead of lecturing people to become perfectly rational, it asks how systems can help imperfect humans succeed. This has broad implications. Schools can design better learning environments. Employers can design better benefit systems. Governments can design clearer public services. Doctors can communicate risks more clearly. Technology companies can build tools that respect attention rather than exploit it. Families can create environments that support better habits. The book's deepest value is that it changes how we see everyday decisions. A bad choice is not always only an individual failure. Sometimes it is also a design failure. If many people make the same mistake, the system may be poorly designed. Better design does not remove responsibility. It supports responsibility. A well-designed world does not force people into one life. It helps them make the choices they already hope to make. Key takeaways from the book. Nudge explains how choice architecture shapes human behavior through defaults, framing, feedback, reminders, social norms, and small changes in design. Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein argue that because choice environments are never neutral, they should be designed to help people make better decisions while preserving freedom. The book's key idea is libertarian paternalism, guiding people toward better outcomes without forcing them or removing their ability to choose otherwise. Its central lesson is that small design changes can produce large improvements when they respect real human behavior, remain transparent, and make good choices easier.